Madam Toastmaster, fellow members, and most welcome guest. A friend of mine told me recently on the phone, we'll meet again when it's meant to be. When it's meant to be. What does that mean? Does it mean that fate? Does it mean that something is controlling our destiny? Well, I personally cannot stand this sentence, when it's meant to be, because it just does not mean anything. Instead, I believe in something else. I believe in the power of choices. The power of us individuals and societies taking decisions for the benefit of all. Taking decisions that can end up benefiting us, but having a huge impact on the world around us through our various actions. And in many respects, I would like to link this to one topic that is very close to me: leadership. And leading is in many respects a choice that all of you in this room can make. A choice that I made very shortly after joining Toastmasters. In October 2013, I was in a big Toastmaster event in a venue just like this one, except a lot bigger. There were 200 people there, and I ended up in the queue for the restroom with a lady that has a name badge just like this one. I didn't even know what it meant. And I ended up talking with her, and she's like, oh yeah, I do this, and oh, you're newly joined. And she said something to me that I'll never forget, and I've said this to her many times since. And that night, I came back home and I'm like, I could get more involved. I could choose to lead. I could lead in Toastmasters if I want to. And from that moment, my entire Toastmaster journey was perhaps set through one decision that I made. And what shape or form did this leading take shape? And there are a couple of stories from my own leadership journey that I will share with you today. Number one, building something out of nothing. This to me is one of the most noble human achievements, where there is nothing there, be it an empty field or an empty canvas, and you just paint it with something of your own. An opportunity came to me in 2014 when somebody else in Toastmaster told me, why don't you create a new Toastmaster club next to Victoria? Something that you could lead, something that could be your own, something that you could shape in whichever way you want. The word struck a chord with me, and I decided to go along with this adventure. And I will never forget the very first meeting of the leadership team of what ended up being London Victoria. It was myself, Terry, and Fahad in the upstairs function room of a pub over a few drinks. And I said something that you too would have thought, he's drunk already. And I said it. I said, we're going to make this group that we're going to create the best one in London. Best one in London. But we don't have a venue. We don't have members. We had nothing. And I made that statement. I made a choice with that statement. The choice of standing up. The choice of becoming the best, of building something that would be the best. And what did that choice lead to? Members came knocking on our doors. They joined us. And today the group has got 60 members and is really thriving, and I'm so inspired that one of my mentees, Paulina, too, made the choice to lead by becoming president of the group in this current year. We decided to become the best, and we ended up creating something that ended up being, in many respects, the best. On par with this group of sample speakers. I'm a member of both clubs, so I cannot show any favoritism, of course. And I also remember an incident from my Toastmaster journey that kind of confirmed me into the power of choices. It was in 2016 when I had graduated to become division director. I was looking after all of Toastmaster in West London. I was leading about 700 members and 20 groups. And in Toastmasters, we have an organization where we have leaders above us. There's a district director, people working for him or her. And that year, it was the first kind of team meeting of the year where the whole vision for the year would be laid out. Where I wanted to be inspired. I wanted to know what is the master plan, what will we be achieving together. I expected some fireworks, and I got a damp squid. The vision was the same as last year. Nothing new, no changes. Didn't seem exciting to me. What was the grand idea? Nothing. And then they come to the tricky part, explaining, you've all been there, how the money would be spent. You've all been there, you have to explain how a budget is done, and you have to explain how is your money going to get spent. One person in the leadership team said one thing, and another person said another thing, contradicting each other live on stage. That did not make a good impression. And then a member of my team, a lady called Kasia, was also contradicted. She's like, oh, you want to claim expenses for that? You're not allowed to because it's... But we were told the opposite a few hours ago. And that day, I had to wait for a bus replacement, a rail replacement service, a train, because the trains were not running to Ascot that day. And I walked for half an hour from Sunningdale, from Ascot where we were, to Sunningdale. And on that walk, I remember thinking one thing. I am alone. We are alone. There's no control at the top. They don't know what they're doing. We are alone. A little bit like this country today with Brexit, but I'm not going to make any more political statements. Enough is enough. It can get quite sensitive after all. But I made one choice that day. We might be alone, but we will lead. We will be the best we can be regardless of the circumstance. We don't have a budget. We're going to find ways to make some money. We're just going to find ways to raise funds that we can reinvest in doing what we want to do. And we had an amazing year together, me and my team. At one point, that lady that had contradicted another one challenged me and said, I don't like what you're doing. It was like, if you want me to resign, I can resign. As long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm not resigning, otherwise I will. It was quite a threat, but she backed down in the process, and I was able to eventually get my way. Because we had made the choice, myself and the team, to lead. We organized some amazing events that drew 200 people together in a venue just like this one, where we were learning, having fun, networking with each other. And because we couldn't have the money to hire a big machine that would make a lot of boiling water, we ended up buying a bunch of kettle from Argos instead to put us in our hot water. 4 of them running continuously all the time. We did not need them after the meeting, so we actually left them there. I did take one home though. And that experience taught me that regardless of the circumstance, even if you feel you are alone in the world, that your team will be alone or isolated in its business, wherever it is, you can still choose to lead and make the biggest impact, regardless of the external circumstances around you. Right now, I often think about leadership. What does leading mean as district director? It's not always an easy job, but I enjoy it. I love it very much, actually. And sometimes I'm reminded in Toastmaster meetings just like this one, why did I choose to lead? I choose to lead because I believe in excellence. I believe that our Toastmaster district in London and Southern Britain could one day become number 1 in the world. But what does being number 1 in the world mean? It means that all of you are achieving the extraordinary. It means that if you're scared to speak up, you are speaking up. It means that if you are scared to lead, you too feel emboldened and supported to choose to lead. And it is this vision, this dream, that's animating me this year. Of course, it's not always easy. And quite often, as was the whole part of leadership, you're a little bit lonely. and the only thing you hear are complaints. I don't like the way this is done, I don't like the numbers, I don't like the KPIs, and so on. It's not easy. Choosing to lead is not easy. But there are rewards sometimes. I'll never forget what a friend of mine told me just a couple of days ago. He told me, well, I do travel around the clubs in London quite a lot, and people say one thing to me: things are better now than they were a few years ago. Things are better now than they were a few years ago. And his reply to them apparently was, there's one person you can thank for this. That person's Florian. And when I heard this, I was like, I was right to do what I've done. I chose to lead, and it is making a difference, because I am leaving things in a better way than I found them. I am making a difference one small step at a time. And this whole concept of choosing to lead does not only apply to Toastmasters or to ourselves. It can apply to even bigger deeds too. A couple of weeks ago, we were celebrating an anniversary, the 50th anniversary of man walking on the moon. And there were some great feats of oratory as part of man walking on the moon. And there's one speech that stands into my mind by John F. Kennedy in 1962, when he had to justify the reasons for the Apollo program. And there were that sentence in the speech: why should we choose to go to the moon? Because it is there. Because going to the moon was a choice. And because the moon is there, we will make that choice, which is a choice that all of you can choose to make too, in any areas of your life. And there's another story that has always fascinated me as a little bit of a geek. It's the story of a man named Chung. That man was from Korea, and he had a dream and a vision too. I want to build ships, he said. I'm going to build big, almighty metal ships that will sail around the world carrying containers and goods. And I will sell these ships to the world. This was his dream and his vision. And the country's leader at the time, Park Chung-hee, told him, go on and implement that dream. The country chose to implement that dream. And how did he sell these ships? He went around the world with one banknote. On that bank, and a picture. The picture was a picture of a beautiful, pristine beach. The picture was a picture of a turtle ship. A ship that had previously defeated an invading army intent to conquer the country in the 16th century. And he said to the wannabe investors and buyers, this is the ships that my country used to build in the past. And we will choose to build bigger and better ships now on this beach where we will build the shipyards. They choose to build the ships and the shipyard at the same time. 20 years later, the Korean shipbuilding industry was #1 in the world. The country that had started it all, shipbuilding all, the United Kingdom, withered away in the wind like a blown candle. Struggles between boilermakers and ironmongers took its toll on the industry. But there was a choice made to lead. And what I would like to say to all of you as I conclude this speech is, I choose to lead. I learned a lot from it. It wasn't always easy. It's still not always easy. But the reward, what you will learn, greatly outweighs the struggles sometimes. Greatly outweighs the sacrifices you may have to make. I choose to lead, and so can you. Thank you. Cheers.